Past tense, all right?
And no question.
It says former drug kingpin Freeway Ricky Ross. That's a heck of a title, a heck of a label to wear, right? Yeah. It also says that after...
But I make it look good.
Yeah, you make it look good. Could you give us a little background on what that experience was like, what your lifestyle was like, how you wound up in prison?
Briefly, man, I was a young kid, 19 years old, looking for a way out the ghetto.
Yes, sir.
Had never read a book, couldn't read, couldn't write. Options was small.
Where you from?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, California.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So my options were small because of my mind was trapped inside of a small area of a neighborhood. And basically what I saw in that neighborhood is what I believed in. And somebody that I looked up to, a friend, big brother, came and gave me an opportunity, or what looked like an opportunity at the time.
Yes, sir.
And I took advantage of it. And that basically started my cocaine career with a $50 piece of cocaine.
Yes, sir. Awesome. I'd like to ask you, Mr. Ross, while you were in the penitentiary, I guess in the late 80s, did you grant an interview to Mr. Gary Webb, a reporter for the San Jose Mercury News, detailing your involvement in the crack cocaine invasion? And
yes, I did give Gary that interview. It was funny. Gary found me. He was following this guy around the country, and he was trying to find out more about this secretive guy that nobody really knew nothing about.
Who was Gary?
Gary was a Plaza Prize-winning writer,
okay,
from the San Jose Mercury News, Mercury B, I think they called it.
Yes, sir.
But it's a very prestigious newspaper at that time, and he was following this story that he felt was super big. He didn't give me any details from the beginning. He just told me that if my guy was his guy, that it was going to be a whirlwind.
Yes.
And we started talking on the phone, and I started telling him some things. I told him who the wife was, because I didn't really know if I knew the guy's real name or not.
Right.
In the hood, we don't care about no name.
Right.
Your name can be Joe Blow from downtown Skid Row.
Yes, sir.
If you got that thing,
right,
and that's all we care about. And that was the situation with me, so I didn't really know. I just called him by one name, which was a nickname.
okay,
But anyway, Gary Webb was able to put together all the pieces, about his children and where they lived and what area they stayed in, what city did he stay in before that. Because Gary was obsessed with this guy. I mean, he was on him like a pit bull, and after we talked, he said, man, I'll be to see you in 3 or 4 days as soon as I get the institutions cleared. So somehow he cleared and got cleared through the institution, and then next thing I know, I had this white guy, mid-40s, looked like a hippie with faded jeans on and old tennis shoes and a T-shirt, and he's like, man, I'm on it.
okay.
So
okay.
We struck up a friendship there because we kind of had a mutual cause, because I knew very little about him too, and he was getting ready to testify against me, and I needed to know as much as I could about him because my lawyer wanted to discredit him, but the government wasn't releasing any papers. Okay. The government was holding everything top secret because they were saying that if his name came out, that his life could be in danger, and
yes, sir.
He's a major figure and all this other stuff. So we had very little information on him to fight my case.
Okay, my next question is, in 1987, Senator John Kerry, I believe, chaired a commission investigating the CIA's complicity in narcotic trafficking into the United States, purportedly to finance an unauthorized covert war in Nicaragua. Were you called to testify before that commission? And if yes, please describe the atmosphere in Washington at that time.
No, I didn't testify at that. At that time, I had never been arrested. They didn't know about me.
Okay, okay.
I later was interviewed by the OIG, Attorney General's office, CIA, FBI, DEA, everybody eventually came down and interviewed me and talked to me about the situation, though.
Okay.
Remembering that, they stopped short, though, of the drugs. Remember, they agreed not to talk, because I read the reports.
Okay.
But they agreed not to talk about drugs in that hearing.
Okay.
That was about guns, not about drugs.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to talk about guns today.
Right.
We ain't trying to find out if y'all selling drugs.
Okay.
We just want to know, was you selling guns and ammunition and weapons, to the enemy. But It's over here. They selling drugs. We don't want to.
Leave that alone.
We'll leave that alone.
Okay.
That's for another day.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Look, following your arrest, when did all the facts start to come together in your mind as to the enormity of your actions, the fact that you were used as a pawn to facilitate a conspiracy of such magnitude?
Well, I didn't really find out really everything until Gary released his report, because I was already familiar with a lot of news reporters. I had a lot of news reporter friends, and he leaked very little information to me. It's like he kind of kept it close to himself. And then even then, we didn't find out until trial, because when we went to trial, Gary sit in my trial, and my lawyer had started to use Gary as an investigator because my money was short. I didn't have money to hire an investigator. It cost about 50 G's, sometimes as much as the lawyer. So we didn't have money to hire a proper investigator. So what we started to do as a strategy was to use Gary Webb as our personal investigator, because he's already investigating the guy anyway. So we might as well use him and share the information that he's getting. So inside the trial, Gary sit there, and him and my lawyer had struck up a good friendship. So the judge even brought it to the court's attention. She says, "Why do you keep going over there to that reporter?" Because my lawyer is going to Gary asking him, "What question should I ask?" So my lawyer don't know what to ask. My lawyer don't know much about the Contras. He didn't know Emmanuel, what's the name, the guy who went on the fishing trip with Bush. He didn't know this guy's name or none of these other guys' names.
Is that Noriega?
No, it wasn't Noriega. It was Enrique Bermudez, maybe. That might have been what it was. Okay. I've been so long. I kind of threw all that stuff out my memory. I don't want to remember it no more, because I studied it so many nights and so many days. It went through my head that I'd just fed up with it. So, I threw all those guys out of my mind. But I think that was his name. And Gary was telling him, ask him this. Ask him who went on the fishing trip with this guy, and ask him how much money did Reagan them grant you, and what did you do with the money, and all these type of questions. So stuff came out like they gave him $18 million, wasn't enough to fight a war, so they all decided to go and buy drugs. Okay,
and at the end of the day, with you, you were positioned where you attempted to. I'm asking a question. Where you attempted to make a large purchase of cocaine from a CIA agent?
He was a CIA agent.
He was a CIA agent?
No, he wasn't an agent, right? He was an operative.
Operative, okay.
See, those are two different things.
Yes, sir.
An agent is on the CIA's payroll, yes, but he pays taxes.
Okay.
An operative is somebody from another country that they write him a check.
Okay. Under the table?
Kind of like under the table. Right. Nobody knows. It's off the books. So it's a little different than being a CIA agent. Okay. They don't consider him an agent.
All right.
I mean, I don't really understand the difference, but
yes, sir,
they say it's a difference in an operative and an agent, and those are some of the things that this guy's not a citizen of the United States. He doesn't pay taxes. He can't really come into the U.S. most of the time, but like with this guy, once they use him and the Sandinistas won the war, then they let them all come in the U.S. to flee their country from prosecution.
Mr. Ross, it's stated that at the height of your activity prior to your incarceration, that your income was somewhere in the area of $2 to $3 million per day. I've read in another article said $2 to $3 million per week.
My last 2 years, I made $1 million every day that I sold drugs.
Yes, sir.
I mean, not profit, but that kind of money went through my hands. And I had days with 2, 3 would go through my hand.
That's something.
In one day.
And now since your release, you are on a journey to reproduce that lifestyle, but you're doing it from another perspective now,
well, see,
right?
my life was just an experiment.
Right.
See, I wasn't really a drug dealer.
Go ahead.
I just went out there and played in the drug game to figure it all out. Now I know what it's all about, so now I can help solve the problem that we've been having.
Okay. What are some of the business initiatives that you engaged in now, and how are you promoting this for black youth or youth?
Well, the first thing in business that you have to do is you have to free your mind. You have to know in your heart that you can do anything and you can be anybody. I mean, remember, I don't know if you know, but I couldn't read or write till I was 28 years old.
Yes, sir.
And I felt that I couldn't read. That I had a disability.
Okay.
And I found out that the reason I couldn't read is because I never really tried.